guess I didn't say, what are you looking so sad about, Jam?
I'm surprised. I'm really insulted. That's not right what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I went on a Bomber 1 tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
Well, you've been on the tour.
What's happening, my people? It's Cast Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cast Sports, the Boxtorian. Miss Cass, the Drunk Irishman. Welcome. Today, boxing in Australia. Okay, it's Thursday. Boxing Around the World series continues with boxing in Australia. Salute to the Drunk Irishman. Please subscribe to his channel. Anyone that's listening and not subscribed to him. Got some great content over there. Salute the Drunk Irishman. Okay, so today we're going to start a new series for the first 30 minutes of the show. It's like an extension of highlights of boxing history. It's going to be called The Fight of the Day. We're going to look at a classic fight every day, okay, for the first 30 minutes of the show. Kensaw Love One coming into the building bearing gifts. What's up, Kensaw Love One? How are you today? Appreciate you. Salute Ken Sola one.
Yes, I didn't see. What are you looking so sad about, Jam?
Man, I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
Appreciate you, Ken Sola one. Salute to Mike Masick in the building and Darrell Hattie. Okay, so let's get to our fight of the day. All right. Fight of the day. Okay, the fight of the day today is going to be Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling, number one. The first fight, the big upset. Now, the subject of today's show is Boxing Around the World is going to be Australia. And tomorrow, the profile is the first Friday of the month, so we're going to do an active boxer. It's going to be the real deal, Amanda Serrano. No, yesterday I watched the playbook. I kept saying Amanda, the real deal, Amanda Holyfield. Amanda Serrano tomorrow. Okay, but today, boxing in Australia. But first, the fight of the day. Joe Louis versus Max Schmeling 1. Okay. And this was a all-time great upset. Louis Schmeling 1 was an all-time great upset. Let's talk about it. Okay. June 19th, 1936. Louis versus Schmeling 1. An all-time great upset. Now think back, if you will, boxing fans, and recollect those breathless days of yesteryear, when the young can't-miss prospect, the next great star of the ring, thrilled you as he bounded over the obstacles to fistic success, as if his opponents were so many playthings in a child's sandbox. Talented contenders, as threatening to this boxing immortal to be as a moth to a mountain lion. Okay? As a moth to a mountain lion. But that's a young and seemingly unbeatable Joe Louis right there. That was in 1935. Because before this fight, he had knocked out the previous 5 heavyweight champions. The previous 5 men had been heavyweight champions. Okay, Mike Massey, I appreciate you. That had been heavyweight champions. Joe Louis had knocked them all out. Yeah, okay. Yes, Mike Mazick in the cash chat. Appreciate you, Mike Mazick. 1,000%. All right. Your Mike Mazick always supporting. Salute to Mike Mazick. All right, appreciate you, Mike. Okay, let's continue. All right. Yeah, that thing's supposed to give me a sound, but I never hear it. It does it, but I just don't hear it. Okay. So yeah, that's Joe Louis and 1935 right there. He was just like Mike Tyson was in the 80s. He was thought to be invincible, right? Now, which one, when you're talking about these young champions, which one comes to mind? We had the fresh-faced Olympic gold medalist, Oscar De La Hoya, as he cruised through the super featherweight and lightweight divisions on his way to demolishing a grizzled veteran, Julio Cesar Chavez. We had a young Floyd Mayweather Jr. notching win after win to fulfill his family pedigree. We had Sugar Ray Leonard charming the American public, charting a course to success in the late 70s and early 80s. Or how about a 19-year-old Mike Tyson, already on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 19, flattening one hapless opponent after another as he blazed the path of non-stop destruction toward the heavyweight championship of the world. Okay? So now, imagine for a moment if right before Mike Tyson had blasted Trevor Berbick in the next week or demolished Michael Spinks in a mere 91 seconds. Imagine if a veteran heavyweight who everyone thought was long finished like a Ken Norton or Mike Weaver had managed to not just defeat Mike Tyson, but humble him, handing him a one-sided drubbing that called into question his status as the next great thing at heavyweight. Now, if you can picture that happening and contemplate the shock waves which would have emanated from such an upset, then you have some idea of how huge a happening the first Lewis versus Smelling fight was, when the wily veteran Max Smelling dismantled the young undefeated contender Joe Louis, battering him about the ring for 11 one-sided rounds before finally stopping him with a clean knockout in the 12th. This wasn't no TKO, this was a on the deck 10 count knockout, okay? On the deck, out for 10 seconds knockout. So imagine somebody like Ken Norton or somebody had to beat Mike Tyson in the 80s. This is how big this was. Max Smelling beating Joe Louis back there in 1936. It was a huge upset. Okay? Huge. Now right there, that's Joe Louis demolishing another veteran before that fight, because I told you he knocked out the previous 5 champions prior to this fight with Max Smelling. The last 5 heavyweight champions, he stopped all of them. So he was like invincible going into this prior fight, right? Now, prior to this fateful fight with Smelling, Joe Louis had enjoyed the stature of champion in waiting, which was no small development. Excuse me for a moment. Okay, we're gonna do this today, huh? Okay, one moment, please. Okay, here we go. All right, let's continue. Now, prior to this fateful fight, Joe Louis had enjoyed the stature of champion in waiting, which was no small development, given that Louis was black and just 2 decades removed from the only other black heavyweight champion up to that point, Jack Johnson. Now, unlike Johnson, Louis maintained a placid and soft-spoken demeanor, one which ruffled no feathers among any nervous citizens who still had nightmares about the incorrigible Johnson openly taunting his white opponents and further taunting Caucasian society outside the ring by marrying white women and generally doing what he damn well wanted to do. Okay, what he damn well pleased. Okay, that's how Jack Johnson carried it. He did what he damn well pleased. So Louis posed no such problems and in the meantime had laid waste to the heavyweight division, dispatching contenders and former champions alike with breathtaking efficiency. Excuse me. Lee Ramage, King Levinsky, Primo Carnera, and Max Baer were all reduced to so much rice pudding. Yeah, that's him and King Levinsky on the screen there, yeah, when he beat him. All of them were reduced to rice pudding within a few short rounds, such as the Brown Bombers' punching prowess and awesome accuracy was. The win over Max Baer had been the most scintillating, as the former champion had been regarded as still a major force in the division. An incredible mob of almost 90,000 crowded Yankee Stadium to see if young Lewis had the goods, and no one left disappointed as Joe wrecked Max inside of 4 rounds, handing the former champion the first knockdowns of his career. Yeah, this is what he did to Max Baer right here. And everybody, 90,000 got in there and said, yeah, Max Baer gonna take this young champion down. You know, this is what they thought. But this is what he did to Max Baer right here, part of it. Check this out. See, this is what he did to Max Baer. This is just, I think he stopped him in the next round. Look at that. That is a beating. Look at that. Yeah. Baer not even falling back no more. At that point, probably should have, but nowadays that fight would have been stopped at that point. He's not even fighting back. He's just trying to keep him off of him. He's not even swinging. But the bell saved him, but I think he knocked him out. But that's how he was doing people at that time, Joe Louis. So that put in perspective how big this win by Max Schmeling was over him, okay? And that was the first knockdown and stoppage Max Baer suffered in his career. Now, Max Baer said, Lewis beat me so hard, I saw 7 of him, said Baer afterwards. I tried hitting the one in the middle, but the other 6 just kept beating the hell out of me. Yeah. You might as well make jokes because you got your butt whipped. Okay, so. This is the fight of the day. Lewis Schmeling won. Okay. Yeah, that's the end of the fight over Baer. The highlights we was just watching. This was the next round after that. None other than Ernest Hemingway, the author, cooking the Baer demolition, and perhaps best summed up the public perception of Lewis at that time. Too good to be true, and absolutely true. The most beautiful fighting machine that I have ever seen. That was the author, Ernest Hemingway. Y'all heard of him. He was at that fight. Thus, Max Schmeling, who had suffered a terrible beating at the hands of Baer 3 years before, was regarded as just another stepping stone for Lewis, whose strength and power had captured the public's imagination, and whose ascension to the heavyweight throne was a question of when, not if. Schmeling was a solid 10-1 underdog, and yet, for all that he appeared curiously confident in the days leading up to the fight, right? I see something, was Max's famous reply when asked by reporters how he had the temerity to appear so irritatingly sure of himself prior to his scheduled execution in Yankee Stadium. And unlike Mikey Garcia, Max Schmeling really saw something. He really saw something, right? And it helped him win the fight. Unlike Mikey, I see something. Mikey didn't see nothing. But Max Schmeling really saw something. And we're going to talk about it. Now, but boxing is at least as much about skill and tactics, intelligence and craft, as it is about physical strength and brute force. And what everyone had overlooked was that Schmeling, a veteran of 59 pro fights, possessed a mastery of timing and counterpunching, the likes of which the young Lewis had yet to face. Further, what the Black Olin of the Rhine saw, this is what Smelling, was the novice's tendency to drop his left hand. This is what was talking about earlier in the week. Lewis was consistently open to counter right hands, and Smelling happened to be the owner of a more than serviceable right cross. Told you when he threw that jab, when he was bringing it back, he always curved it down low. And that's what Max Smelling saw. He really did see something. Okay. There's Lewis and Smelling before the fight. And this is at the weigh-in. 10-1 underdog Smelling appeared supremely confident. He got that look. Okay. He appeared supremely confident. Now, the opening rounds of the fight were tightly contested, as a patient Smelling allowed Lewis to come forward while keeping the younger man honest with frequent feints and light jabs. Now, Smelling needed Joe to feel comfortable. He was willing to let his hands go as the German worked to maintain the distance required to both avoid Lewis's power shots while keeping himself in range to fire his own right. Now, a close observer might have noticed that the German was keeping his right hand cocked with his weight constantly on the back foot, the better to throw a spring-loaded counter. But no one, as of yet, was aware of Smelling's strategy. Had that right hand cocked, though. Was, waiting for the right moment to drop that right over that low left hand. It took him all the way till the 11th, 12th round, but he got it in. But he was patient. But he had that right hand cocked the entire fight. In the second round, Smelling tried his first right over the jab, but Lewis took the blow well. Smelling got a good one in the second over top of that jab, but Lewis took the blow well, still didn't learn his lesson, kept curling it low. Okay, that was the second round when Smelling first struck with his strategy, what he saw. Now, the fencing match continued in round 3 as Lewis stalked while keeping his left hand perilously low. Now, Lewis did connect with some of his heavy artillery, especially jabs and left hooks to the body, but Smelling's footwork and feints prevented the young power puncher from sustaining an effective attack. Still, to the thousands of spectators anticipating another Lewis knockout, it must have seemed like only a matter of time before Lewis's constant pressure broke Smelling down. But in the 4th round, there came the turning point. 4th round. Okay? A minute into the 4th round, and with Lewis bearing down hard, Smelling once again moved away to establish the desired distance. As he did, Lewis followed and reached out with a slow, pawing jab, more a rangefinder than a proper lead. And Smelling instantly pounced with a vicious counter right. The punch stunned the inexperienced Lewis, who could not help betraying the fact that he was hurt. A shocked expression crossing his face as his legs buckled. Smelling followed up with a flurry of shots, punctuated by a perfect right cross that dumped Lewis on his backside. Smelling was known for that right cross. So, took advantage of his strategy he had got him in the second with a good one, but he took advantage of it and put him down that low left. The way Joe curved that left low, Smelling took advantage of it and put him on his backside in the 4th round. Right? Now, to his credit, the young contender Lewis got to his feet immediately and fought back. But his bravery sealed his fate. He gave himself no time to recover from Smelling's assault or to adjust to his opponent's tactics. By aggressively pursuing the former champion, Lewis played right into Smelling's hands, absorbing still more flush rights before the fourth round was over. Okay? Played right into Smelling's hands because Lewis kept attacking, and he wasn't recovered from that right cross. That was Smelling's signature punch, that right cross. Perfect punch for a man carrying his left hand low, right? Another orthodox fighter carrying his left hand low, right cross is perfect. There's one right there, see? Mm-hmm. The rest, as they say, was mere aftermath. The fight appeared competitive on the surface, when in fact, Smelling was assuming complete control and methodically taking Lewis apart. Okay? More and more, Lewis looked to be not so much stalking his opponent as haplessly following him about the ring. At the end of the fifth round, Smelling landed another thundering right cross that had Lewis all but out on his feet. And in the sixth round, the German took over, manhandling and battering the brown bomber in a manner that had the assembled crowd staring in slack-jawed disbelief. Okay? The audience was quiet, watching the fight in disbelief. Okay? And let's see what's going on in the chat. Okay. Nothing. All right, let's get back to this. Yeah, the audience was in disbelief. They'd never seen Joe Louis, and that was young Joe Louis. Invincible, they thought. Like Foreman was in the early 70s, Tyson in the 80s. That's how Joe Louis was then. And this veteran German is beating the brakes off of him, right? Now the pattern continued in the succeeding rounds. Smelling increasingly confident and aggressive, and landing right after right after right on a stunned Joe Louis. To be sure, Louis had his moments, at times his attack putting Max on the defense, but it was Smelling dictating the terms and getting home the truly telling blows. A frustrated and desperate Joe Louis resorted to roughhouse tactics, throwing shots below the belt, throwing elbows and forearms above the belt. Okay, Joe Louis started going low, started throwing elbows, forearms, the signs of a desperate fighter. By the ninth round, Smelling was landing virtually at will, now connecting with lead rights as well as counter shots. Smelling was now throwing lead right hands. Didn't have to counter, still countering, but throwing leads now. You know, lead right is just exactly what it says, throwing that right hand without any kind of punch, setting it up, anything, just lead right hand, exactly what it says, the lead right. And Smelling had been catching Lewis with counters over that low left hand, but now he took over the fight, throwing lead rights on him, right? And Smelling was even winning exchanges on the inside with his uppercut, and yet Lewis was unwilling or unable to adjust to bring his left hand up and anticipate Smelling's attack. Instead, Lewis absorbed blow after blow and had increasingly difficulty making it back to his corner at the end of each round, and he was still carrying his hand low. What was Jack Blackburn doing over there in the corner? That was his legendary trainer, Jack Blackburn. Tell him bring that hand up, Jack. Come on. Okay, now we're getting to the end. Now, there was really no reason to let the fight continue, except to see if the young power-punching phenom, who just minutes before had been the heir apparent to the heavyweight crown, could somehow land the one big shot that could turn things around for him. Lewis was hopelessly behind on points and taking a terrible beating. At the same time, he never stopped trying. Finally, in the 12th and final round, he succumbed. It began with the two men battling on the inside, and eventually, Smelling got home a stinging uppercut. Lewis attempted to counterattack, but the German smothered the assault before throwing a series of left leads, one of which he allowed to dangle briefly in Lewis's face, the better to hide what was coming next. Yet another vicious right hand, followed by an equally vicious 1-2 and another right that sent Lewis staggering into the ropes. It was now target practice for the ex-champion Smelling as he chased the brown bomber about the ring and landed 14 unanswered shots, right? The final one, a flush right hand that put a stunned and defenseless Lewis on his knees before he tumbled to the canvas. Joe shook his head and briefly tried to rise before turning on his face as the referee finished the count and a joyous Smelling exalted. Yeah, wasn't a TKO, it was on the deck, 10-second count out for Smelling. What a win that was. What's up, Mike Grimm? Mike Grimm says, just left the doctor. It's going to have 1,000 surgeries. Now they want to put a spine stimulator on my spine for chronic hip pain. Okay, Mike. All right. Oh, but good to see you today, Mike, and we're going to be praying for you. Everybody that's a praying person, we're going to keep Mike Grimm, part of the Cat Sports family, in our prayers. But salute, Mike. Good to see you today. Appreciate you 1,000%. Okay? We are with you 1,000% on this. And right now, we just finished talking about the big upset, Max Smelling over Joe Louis. That was huge. Because Joe was kind of like invincible, like I said. Foreman in the 70s, Tyson in the 80s. That's how Louis was at that point in 1936. Thought to be unbeatable. And Max Smelling went in and took him apart. But he saw something. Unlike Mikey Garcia, Max Smelling really saw something. He saw Joe Louis always carrying that left hand low. And after Max was countering him with right crosses and everything, Joe never did bring his hand up the entire fight. He kept carrying it low. And he had a legendary trainer, Jack Blackman. I don't know what they were doing. Jack had to be telling them, but Joe just wouldn't or couldn't. He was so used to fighting with that hand low and having so much success with it. You know, I don't know what it was. But the former champion Smelling had bucked the long odds against him and shocked the sports world. He was 10-1 coming in. And yet, it was Louis, not Smelling, who would soon be rewarded with a shot at the world championship. They did Smelling wrong. No doubt this was due to the politics of the time, as Smelling returned to Germany after his great victory to be hailed by Adolf Hitler and the odious Nazi regime as a national hero, right? And superior to everybody else, right? The Nazis. And that was Hitler really used propagandized that. See, I told you. Right? So Smelling was supposed to get the title shot. They gave it to Joe Louis, even though Smelling beat the brakes off him. That was terrible. A year later, Louis, after reeling off 7 straight wins, including a hard third-round knockout of former champion and Smelling conqueror Jack Sharkey, knocked out Jim Braddock to become the heavyweight king and begin the longest championship reign in boxing history. Still is. But there was no questioning that some unfinished business remained. Louis said, I want Smelling. And I ain't the champion until I beat Smelling. Okay, that's what Joe Louis said. Don't call him champion until he gets Smelling again. Okay? And that's Smelling. Look at him laid back in the cut with his glasses on. Just beat the brakes off Joe Louis. And tomorrow is going to be Louis versus Smelling 2. It's going to be the fight of the day. Okay? 336, 236. We didn't go too far past where we wanted to be at. Okay, now we're going to talk about boxing in Australia. First 30 minutes every show going to be a fight of the day. Crush the legend. Crush the legend in the building. I can't find you, Crush, in the mornings. What's going on? Damn, am I blocked? But salute, Crush. 6:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. I check every day. Crush must not have been on or something. But salute, Crush the legend. Yeah, we just talked about our fight of the day, Louis Smelling 1. Tomorrow going to be Louis Smelling 2. Because Smelling shocked the world. He didn't only beat Joe Louis, he knocked him out. And not a TKO, on the mat 10 count knockout. Yeah. And beat the brakes off Joe Louis on the way to the knockout. It was 10-1 underdog. So we're going to see what happened tomorrow in the rematch. Okay? Because Joe Louis said he did win the title before the rematch, but he said, I don't want to be called champion until I get Smelling back in there. You know, he got him. They're going to fight tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Pardon me for a minute. Okay? Make sure y'all here tomorrow. Joe Louis versus Max Smelling 2 tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We're going to go back to 1938. No, I wasn't born. I know somebody thinking that. Okay. Boxing in Afghanistan. No, Australia. Australia today. It's just like the third one. What we did, Afghanistan, Argentina. No, Afghanistan, Algeria, Argentina. This is the fourth one, Australia today. Okay. Let's get into it. A little brief history first of boxing in the country. I can't get situated. Stay with me for a moment, please. Okay, we're going to get it together now. Here we go. A little brief history of boxing in Australia, okay? Home of George Kambosos, the Maloney brothers, Jai Opataya, Liam Perro. Yeah, Liam Perro just got one loss. 9 a.m. Crush. I didn't know. Okay, thank you, Crush. I did not know. Damn. Now I do. Wow. I don't be doing nothing at 9 neither. Okay. Gotcha. I'll be there tomorrow. Because I ain't been in there for like 2 weeks. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I see Crush in here, but then I can't find it. I was like 6:30. I couldn't find it. Okay, 9 a.m. Good. That makes me feel better. Now I know. Okay. All right. Boxing in Australia. But thank you, Crush. And Mike. Yeah, put 9 o'clock now. Yeah. Yeah. Wishing you the best recovery, Mike. So yeah. Yeah. We all thinking about you. You're part of the family, the Cat Sports family, Mike Rim, and the Crush the Legend. We all family. This is one big happy family. But boxing in Australia. Let me be quiet and do the show. Okay. How's everybody this Thursday afternoon? We pulling up on another weekend already. Ain't that crazy? I remember it was just Monday. That's Thursday. That is crazy. There's Perro, sir. What's up, Perro? What's going on with you today, my brother? Talking about Australia. Boxing in Australia today. Okay. Salute, Perro, sir. Okay. This is the last time I'm going to say this. Boxing in Australia. Oh, no, it ain't. Boxing in Australia has a long and rich history, starting with early convict fights, right? And evolving into a popular professional sport with notable champions and significant cultural impact. It has also faced challenges, including restrictions on women's participation and debates about governance. Now, early history and development. Convict roots. They had convict fights. Boxing's presence in Australia traces back to the arrival of the first fleet with the convicts in 1788. Now, the first recorded fight in Australia. The earliest documented fight in Australia, boxing fight, took place in Sydney, Australia in 1814 between two convicts, right? Between two convicts. Now, the Gold Rush era. Boxing gained popularity during the Gold Rush as a form of entertainment, with contests often held in mining towns and at fairs, right? They had tent boxing over there. Traveling boxing troops like those of Roy Bell, Jimmy Sharman, and Fred Brophy. toured the country, offering public fights in tents. They carried the tent around with them, like a circus, right? Tent fights. Now, the rise of Les Darcy. We're going to talk about Les again. One of the most famous boxers to come out of Australia. Now, Les Darcy's rise. The early 20th century saw the rise of Les Darcy, a popular and talented boxer whose career was cut short by tragedy. And we're going to cover that later. Now, professional boxing and governance. Stadium Limited. Stadium Limited played a significant role in professional boxing, particularly in Sydney, Australia, promoting fights and controlling championships. Australian National Boxing Federation, we're going to talk about this too, the ANBF, more deep, just touching on this stuff now. We're going to talk about the ANBF more deeply in a moment, okay? It's called the Australian National Boxing Federation. Formed in 1965, originally the ABF, the Australian Boxing Federation, they added the national. The ANBF aimed to provide a more structured and fairer governance of professional boxing in Australia, taking inspiration from the British Boxing Board of Control. Now, state branches. The ANBF established state branches to implement its ideals and improve the sport's governance. Yeah, I wasted soda on my notes last night. But yeah, they reformed state branches to implement its ideals and improve the sport's governance, including setting standards for pay and conditioning, right? Pay and conditions. Now, women's boxing, early restrictions. Now, while women participated in boxing classes as early as the 1890s, serious competition and formal recognition were limited for many years. Legalization and recognition. Women's boxing has gradually gained recognition, with Queensland legalizing it in 2000 and New South Wales following suit in 2009, right? After a period of prohibition. Now, the Renegade era. The women had been boxing in unregulated leagues and professionally since around 1995. That's called the Renegade era. Now let's look at this ANBF, Australian National Boxing Federation. Okay, let's take a look at that. The Australian National Boxing Federation. This is the organization that governs boxing in Australia. Let's take a brief look at that. Okay, it's the organization that governs boxing over there. All right. Yeah, I'm glad I found that out though, man, because I was going crazy. I wasn't getting my Crush the Legend show in the morning, man. That was a big part of the morning get started. And I'm like, damn. I know good as that show was, Crushed it. I know he didn't just stop. You know, I'm like, no way. No way. That's one of the best shows on YouTube, man. I'm like, why would he just stop? But he didn't. He went to 9 o'clock. Okay. All right. Yeah, let me get this going for you. Okay. Yeah. What's going on this weekend? I'll be right with y'all. This is the July 2nd weekend, so August 2nd. Yeah, we're getting close to that big massive one in September 13th. Bud and Canelo. I got Canelo by decision. Mike Rim got Canelo by stoppage. Mike Mazik got Bud. I think he got him by decision. I can't remember. We was talking about that yesterday. So yeah, but the good thing is we're gonna see it because, and man, it's August tomorrow, so that'll be here before you know it. You know, that will be here before you know it. September 13th. Just a little over a month now, right? Here we go. History of the Australian National Boxing Federation. That's what we're talking about there. We'll leave that like that. That's up higher. Oh my goodness, why is it not available? It's been available all week. Now all of a sudden it's not available. Gee, Christmas. Let's move on to something else. Christmas, that's crazy. I don't understand it. Okay, bear with me for a moment, please. We're going to talk about women's boxing in Australia then, okay? I can't get that to come up for some reason. Yeah, Wi-Fi, everything connected. I'm going to try one more time. Third time is always the charm, right? Okay, let's try it again. One more time. Like Jay Hardcore would say, one more again. One more again. Nope. Okay. Anyway, like I said, it was founded in the 1980s. And it took its current name of Australian National Boxing Federation in 1977. It was the Australian Boxing Federation, joined the Oriental and Pacific Boxing Federation and Pan-Asian Boxing Association in the 70s. Okay, so now let me see. Let's talk about some women boxing over there then. And the ongoing saga of female boxing in Australia. Yeah, I was just reading that yesterday. But hey, I got like 7 different things we're going to talk about today. So something going to come up. Damn it. We're going to talk about Australia. If I had to get on a plane and fly over there real quick, I can get there before 4. We're going to here we go. Ongoing saga of female boxing in Australia, because it was banned for a while, but they called what they called the renegade era. They was boxing undercover, you know, unsanctioned, unregulated. I don't know what it is with that, you know. A lot of places, women didn't go to the Olympics until 2012. They still only get 2 rounds and 10 rounds in 2 minutes. I don't get it. I just don't understand why they just don't go ahead and get women their props and their due, man. You know, I just don't understand it. Okay, yeah, we got this one. Okay, let's talk about the women. Ongoing saga of women boxing in Australia. Okay, and then we're going to talk about Kasia Tszyu, about the most famous boxer to come out of there. We're going to talk about him and some other Australian boxers after this, okay? And ANBF wouldn't come out. But I got the ongoing saga of the women. Let's talk about that. This is not that long, okay? Now, Yeah, I saw that crush the last time I was in there. Your views was looking good, man. Yeah, I had noticed that. That's why I said, why would he stop all of a sudden? But you went to 9 o'clock. Okay, I said, no way. The show was real good, man. Okay, Australian women's boxing has always been hampered. Turn these lights up. Okay, no more interruptions. Oh, we had a tornado. We had a tornado watch there in Baltimore today too. Ended at 2 o'clock. The world is going crazy. A tornado in Baltimore. Come on, man. But anyway, Australian women's boxing has always been hampered by a small population spread thinly over a vast area. Now, there are two amateur bodies, the result of a bitter split more than 10 years ago. Now, the official Amateur Boxing Association did not allow women to compete until 2000, when they were issued with a equal ultimatum if they wish to retain their status as a Commonwealth and Olympic sport. The women have been boxing in the Renegade Amateur Boxing League, right? And professionally since about 1995. Despite the lack of depth in competition, some Australian women have made an impact internationally. And they include Sharon Anyos, one of the most successful Australian boxers, man or woman, and a world title holder. Other names include Amanda Buchanan, Laura Skinner, Holly Fernley, and Songal Oruk. But the women have been hampered by the tyranny of distance and the lack of opponents. Women in the state of New South Wales are further disadvantaged because boxing is against the law for women there. And that law is proving difficult to change. Now, the latest issue to thwart them too is Fox Sports' blatant editing of women's fights on local boxing cards. International cards, including women's fights, are broadcast on Australian Fox Sport channels, but the local women are cut out. Fox Sport does not deny doing this, claiming the subscribers don't like to watch women fight, and that the sport comes under enough criticism as it is without having the presence of women in the ring. Wow, that's crazy. Sky Nicholson is Australian, and she's one of the big names in Australian boxing right now. Now, despite these obstacles, former Australian bantamweight champion Amanda Buchanan has just secured a 3-fight deal in Japan, the first of which is due to take place in late August against Yumi Yoshimi. Buchanan hasn't fought since 2017, but has been on the brink several times, having to withdraw due to injury or having opponents withdraw for the same reason. But she has been a leading light in the sport, long, explosive, and skillful. It would do a lot for the profile of women's boxing in Australia if she turned to regular competition. Yeah, but they are against the women over there. Meanwhile, the glamorous boxing model, Rain Mako, retired after half a dozen fights, which she was beginning to show some impressive skill. Geelong-based Kathy Zutt, a strong Australian welterweight and former amateur champion, is cooling her heels waiting for opponents after fighting Mako twice, winning once and losing once. Now, the shortest of competition has held up her fighting career, which is the greatest battle Australian women boxers face, no competition, when they turn pro. Now, the amateur ranks are sporadically busy with female fights, but not many turn pro or have enough fights to accrue a depth of skill and experience. Now, more and more young girls are becoming interested in the sport of boxing, but we are yet to experience the groundswell of enthusiasm that is taking place in other parts of the world for women's boxing. A bit more exposure and publicity would help, but in Australia, it's often the male boxers struggle to get the mainstream media's attention. So women get coverage for the novelty value, but little else. They say the men struggle to get media attention over there. Biggest fight I know about is probably Devin and Kambosos. Biggest fight I can remember in Australia, right? Devin and Kambosos. George Kambosos, or Scambosos, or Cambumsos. Okay, now let's talk about some of the good boxers that came out of Australia, like Kostya Tszyu. Okay, we're gonna talk about Kostya first. Kostya Tszyu. Okay. All right, Kostya. Yeah, he got 2 sons that box. Nikita got about 10 fights. That's his youngest son, and of course, Tim. Yeah, Tim got a brother that boxes too. It's 3 of 2 of Kostya and his 2 sons. But how good was Kostya Tszyu? Okay, how good was Kostya Tszyu? Here's Kostya. How good was he? Where's my ink pen at, man? There it is. Okay, yes, where we are. How good was Kostya Tszyu? Yeah, he was very good. Very good. He probably about the biggest name to come out of Australia. Actually from Russia, but you know, his career played out of Australia, so yeah. That's where he lived at. His family had his sons and all that. That's what they known for, Australia. Tim and Nikita Tszyu. But Nikita, he gave Nikita a Russian name. But let's talk about Kostya. Kostya Tszyu. How good was he? Okay, yeah, I was trying to, yeah, there we go. Okay, how good was Kostya? Now, Kostya Tszyu is one of the great boxers in history. A proud member of the International Hall of Fame. Tszyu is one of only 10 undisputed junior welterweight champions in the 105 years of the sanctioning body era. Only one of 10. Okay? He was called during his pro career the Thunder from Down Under. Who was Kostya Tszyu anyway? Kostya Tszyu was born in Konstantin Borisovich. He was born Konstantin Borisovich Tszyu on September 19, 1969 in Serow, Russia. Then it was called known as the Soviet Union at that time. Now, his father was half Korean, half Mongol, and his mother was ethnic Russian. His father was a pipe fitter, his mother a nurse. As a child, Kostya was hyperactive, so his father took him to a boxing gym, right? In the hopes of calming him down. Now the young Kostya so impressed the coaches, they sent him to the Soviet amateur boxing camps for development. His father was just sitting in there because he was so hyper trying to calm his little ass down. But he was so good. The coaches sent him to the Soviet amateur boxing camps. Said, this guy gonna be something. Now Tszyu was 9 years old when he first put on boxing gloves, right? 9 years old. Take a look at his amateur career. Then we're gonna look at some other Australian boxers too. We're gonna look at some other Australian former boxers. We're gonna look at some of the biggest fights Australians have been in, like Kambosos and Teofimo, when Kambosos spanked that butt. And then we're gonna look at some currently active Australian boxers. But let's look at Kostya Tszyu's amateur career. Now he had a phenomenal amateur career. With a record of, he had 270 amateur fights. He won 259 and lost just 11. Okay, Yeah, Lionel Rose. For sure, Pearl Sore. What's up, Ace? Ace in the building. Salute, Ace. Good to see you today. Yeah, Pearl, Lionel Rose. We're going to cover him too in a little bit. Lionel Rose. I just put Kosher at the top. Kosher getting the most attention for the Australia boxes. But yeah, Lionel Rose is up there, Pearl. I got to give you that one. Lionel Rose is up there for sure. You get no argument from me on that one. Okay, let's get back to Kosher though. Okay. Oh, shut up, phone. Okay, he had 270 amateur fights, 259 and 11. Incredible, right? His significant amateur wins included 1986 European Junior Championship. He won a gold medal at featherweight, okay? 1987 World Junior Championships, silver medal at lightweight. 1988 Olympics, losing in the semifinals to eventual lightweight gold medalist Andreas Zullo. So he didn't medal. He came in fourth place. You don't get no medal for fourth place, right? Just missed. They should have another medal. The top four, right? Should get a medal, but nah. 1990, Goodwill Games won the gold medal at junior welterweight. So then he's where he did his most work at junior welterweight. 1991, he won the European Championship gold medal again again at junior welterweight, 1991. Then he won the World Championships gold medal at junior welterweight. Now, pro career for Kosher. The 1991 World Championships had changed Kosher's life forever. The championships were held in Sydney, Australia, a city that Kosher fell in love with, and which he immigrated to the following year after turning pro, living there for 2 decades until he returned permanently to Russia in 2012. So that's when he went there after he won. At 1991, he competed in Australia. That's where the World Championships were held at that year. And he fell in love with Australia and he moved there once he turned pro. But he did go back to Russia in 2012 permanently. Now, he became a world champion for the first time in 1995 when he stopped Jake Rodriguez. Remember Jake? Yeah, Jake was a good fighter. Yeah. But his reign and unbeaten record ended with a defeat to Vince Phillips. Though he would not be defeated again until the last fight of his career, Ricky Hatton, remember? Knocked down twice by Dallas Bellies Hurtado, Zoo became the interim WBC champion in 1998 and defeated a list of great fighters, including the great Julio Cesar Chavez, Zab Judah, Jesse James Leger, and Chamba Mitchell twice. Ooh, that's a who's who of the 90s, man. Let me say that again. The legendary Julio Cesar Chavez, Zab Judah, Jesse James Leger, and Chamba Mitchell twice. That is some big names right there. If you know about 90s, maybe early 2000s, around in that range boxing. Woo. Beat all of them. Beat Chamba Mitchell twice. But JCC was kind of getting long in the tooth around that time, though. So yeah. But his name is on Zoo's resume, so it don't say old JCC, it just say JCC on this, all right? But in 2005, he faced Ricky Hatton in England and could not stop the bull like Britain, who finally wore the nearly 36-year-old Zoo down. Zoo retired after that fight, and despite lucrative offers, never came back. Stayed away. The Thunder Down Under finished with a record of 31 wins, 2 losses, with 25 knockouts, and sits happily in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Kosher Zoo. Yep. Now let's talk about, like Puro said, Lionel Rose and some other Australian fighters. Not many. 80.6 knockout rate. That's not bad. before Costa. Yep. I think that's next. How good of a boxer was Costa? This is not gonna miss. Yeah. You were gonna talk about some other amateur, no, not amateur, other Australian boxers. Other Australian boxers, right? Not amateur. We might mention some of their amateur careers, like Costa had incredible 270 fights, 259 and 11. Like Loma was 396 and 1. Damn. Sugar Ray Robinson never lost in the amateurs. Everybody loses in the amateurs, right? You know, you're constantly fighting all the time, different styles each fight. It's hard to go undefeated in the amateurs, man, you know? 3 rounds. You got to get it in fast, you know what I mean? But Sugar Ray did it. Okay, we're going to look at some of the 10 top Australian fighters right now. 10 of the top Australians of all time right now, okay? All right. Got honorable mentions. Australia has had some wonderful fighters through the years. So some big names we're always going to miss out on the top 10. Young Griffo, Vic Patrick, Ron Richards, and Hector Thompson. Yeah. Young Griffo, Vic Patrick, Ron Richards, Hector Thompson were all seriously considered for the shortlist. Barry Michael, who defeated Lester Ellis to become the world champion, was unfortunate to miss out on the top 10, right? Jimmy Carruthers. Of the more recent vintage, Anthony Mundine may very well have earned the spot had he started boxing earlier. Still, he deserves mention, right? Michael Katsidis was a warrior who deserved some recognition, honorable mention. Daniel Gill has been a world champion at middleweight who fell short against the bigger names in his division. But let's get to the 10 that's on the list, right? The 10 that's actually made it. 10 of the top Australian boxers of all time. Okay. Nope. Dave Sands is first. We're going to go back a ways too. Dave Sands. That's Dave. Okay. Now, Dave was 87 wins, 10 losses, 1 draw, 52 knockouts. That's 98 fights in his career. Now, Dave Sands could well be the greatest Australian boxer who never won a world title. Having started out his career fighting at 130 pounds, the New South Welshman flitted between different divisions in a career that saw him win national titles at middle, light heavyweight, and heavyweight. National titles in Australia now. However, it was at middleweight where he had hoped to get his shot at world glory. A fight with Sugar Ray Robinson never materialized, though he was in line to face Randolph Turpin for the vacant title, according to the Sport Australia Hall of Fame. Sadly, Sands never got his opportunity. At the age of 26, he died after suffering serious injuries in a car accident. Wow. Had his life not been cut short, he sure probably would have been much, much higher on his list and been a world champion. You're 26 years old. Wow. Rocky Martiali. I don't think I got a picture of Rocky. Rocky Martiali. Okay. Yes, I do. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, that's Rocky right there. Okay, here's my glasses. Okay, Rocky Martiali. Talking about some Australian fighters right now. Australia today. Okay? Now Rocky was, yeah, that's Rocky right there, yeah. He was 64 wins, 7 losses, 2 draws, 51 knockouts, right? Yeah, you know, these guys back then fought a lot more than they do now. That's 73 fights in his career. .6% knockout rate. Might as well say 80. 79.6. Round that off to 80, right? Now, Rocky Maglioli is an Italian-Australian who became a world champion at junior middleweight. He was born in Abruzzo, Italy. He built his reputation in Australia before returning to Europe. He became the WBC super welterweight champion in 1977, defeating Eckhard Dagay in Germany. Yeah, super welterweight, junior middleweight, same thing. His career finished with 4 wins in the United States, meaning Maglioli finished with a career knockout ratio of 79%. Like I said, almost 80. Like we'll say 80, 79.6. He was inducted into the Australian National Boxing Hall of Fame in 2004. And Barry Michaels said a former sparring partner, Maglioli, Patinos of the age. Barry Michaels said he was aggressive, super controlled, had good speed and power. He was a pretty complete sort of fighter. He could box a bit as well. Here's a big one from out of Australia here. Vic Darkenyan. Vic Darkenyan, okay? Big name from over there. Vic finished his career with 40 wins, 8 losses, 1 draw, 29 knockouts. Like Kasia Tszyu, Vic Darkenyan was born abroad but moved to Australia to further his boxing career. Called him the Raging Bull. He competed for his native Armenia at the 2000 Olympics, but turned pro later the same year at flyweight in Sydney, Australia. He won his first world title in 2004 at the 112-pound limit, flyweight, holding the IBF version for nearly 3 years before suffering his first career defeat to Nonito Donaire, the Filipino Flash. Darkenyan went on to become a world champion at super flyweight and bantamweight, though a major belt at featherweight eluded him. Okay? He now resides in the United States. He was given Australian citizenship in 2004. Right? That makes him eligible for this list. Moved to the US, but he did have Australian citizenship. Les Darcy. Yeah, he was a famous big name in Australia, Les Darcy. Yeah, there's Les Darcy. 46 wins, 4 losses, 29 knockouts. Now, Les Darcy was so good that he just so happened to be Australia's heavyweight champion at the same time as he held a world title at middleweight, right? He held a world title at middleweight, but he was a heavyweight champion in Australia. The Maitland Wonder. He had a short but successful career. He died at the age of 21 from pneumonia, by which time he had moved to the United States, but he was a world champion. Still, Darcy achieved plenty during his short career. In his last ever fight, he knocked out George Chipp in Sydney, Australia to retain the world middleweight title. Okay? Now, he had signed up for active service in World War I, but was spared going into battle when his mother claimed he was still a minor, right? According to BoxRec. Like Dave Sands, his final position in the rankings would have been closer to the top had it not been for his early death. Yep, 21 years old. But he was a big name over there, Vic Darkenyan. Here's another big one, Jeff Hardy. Another big-time Australian fighter, Jeff Hardy. Yep, here's Jeff. Jeff Hardy. Now, Jeff, 23 wins, just 2 losses. He had 17 knockouts. Jeff Hitman Hardy, right? Called himself the Hitman. Battled opponents in the ring, as well as his demons out of it, okay? He was a light heavyweight. He stunned the boxing world when he knocked out Dennis Andres in the 12th and final round in 1989 to claim the WBC title. That was a great fight there, yeah. When we talked about the 80s, remember those fights, epic fights? That was one of them. Yeah. Now, it was the first time he had ever been beyond 10 rounds. Now, Andres claimed his title back the following year, but Hardy won their third and final meeting in 1991. This time by way of a majority decision to become WBC champion again. Yeah, they had a great trilogy, him and Dennis Andres, 3 great fights. Jeff Hardy and Dennis Andres. He fought just 3 more times after that, losing the belt to Mike McCallum, the body snatcher, in 1994, in what proved to be his final fight. Hardy has been fighting since, but only battling an alcohol addiction. He told David Barnett of the Daily Telegraph, it was a Las Vegas lifestyle. There was lots of money, lots of people showing you around, but at the end of the day, it's just expensive. Everyone wants to buy you a drink when you was a champ. Yeah. Lester Ellis. I'm saying yeah like I've been a champion in boxing. Lester Ellis. There's Lester Ellis, okay? We're talking about some fighters from Australia right now, that's all. And we're going to talk about some fights, and I got some active fighters we're going to talk about too. But there's Lester Ellis. Lester was called the Master Blaster, right? That was his nickname, the Master Blaster. 41 wins, 8 losses, 28 knockouts. Now, Lester was born in Blackpool, England, but moved to Australia when he was just 3 years old, right? He impressed as an amateur and made quick progress through the pro ranks, winning the Commonwealth Super Featherweight title on the way to a world title shot at the age of 19. The Master Blaster duly defeated Harong Kilya to become the IBF champion, a title he defended once before losing it to former training partner Barry Michael. He moved up through the divisions, winning belts, including jumping from lightweight to junior middleweight in 1995 to become the IBO champion, minor belt. Okay? To become the IBO champion, right? Ellis retired after a loss to Calvin Grove in 1996, but was tempted to return in 2002 at the age of 37. He was stopped by fellow Australian Anthony Mundine inside 3 rounds. Then he went on back out where he should have stayed at, right? Jeff Fennick. Another big name Australian boxer, Jeff Fennick, right? Jeff was 29 wins, 3 losses, and he had 1 draw. Fennick was a 3-weight world champion who became a national hero for his exploits in the ring. He won the IBF title at bantamweight in just his 7th pro fight, okay? 7th pro fight, beating Satoshi Shingaki, right? 7th fight, beat Satoshi Shingaki. And he held the strap until he moved up in weight, vacated, never lost it in the ring. Demerrickville Mauler was also crowned the world champion at super bantamweight and featherweight, winning 25 fights in a row until they had a draw against Azuma Nelson. Fought Azuma 3 times, had a draw the first fight. He met Azuma again the following year when Nelson stunned the Melbourne crowd by stopping Fennick in the 8th round. That's going to be one of our fights we talk about too, Fennick and Azuma. Now the Ring Magazine voted that fight the upset of the year in 1992, right? Now, when he lost to Philip Holliday in a failed bid to become a world champion at lightweight, he decided to retire. He too, what happened, was coached back into the ring in 2008 for a grudge match against Azuma Nelson, with the pair both well into their 40s by then. And Finnick won the 10-round fight by a majority decision on the scorecards. Right? Yeah, him and Azuma shouldn't have had that one. You know, both of them in their 40s. But hey, if you're going to fight in your 40s, fight another 40-year-old. They did get that part right. Not like Manny. Then you got to get an agreement for the guy to take it easy on you. Okay, just got a couple more. We're going to talk about some of the biggest fights Australian fighters have been into next. Yeah, but they fought, both of them in the 40s. He is in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, winning in 2002. He went in the Hall of Fame actually before he came back and fought Azuma. That's another move Manny made. Already in the Hall of Fame, going to come back and fight. Johnny Falmaton. It's Johnny on the left. Johnny Falmaton. Okay. 56 wins, 5 losses, 6 draws, 20 knockouts. Falmaton was born in Paris, France, but moved to Australia when he was young. His family had a background in boxing. His father had been a French lightweight champion, right? And he followed the same path. Falmaton, who was famous for his defensive abilities, became Australian, Commonwealth, and world champion at all at featherweight. He beat Jose Legre in 1969 to claim the WBC belt at featherweight. Made 2 successful defenses in classic fights against the Fighting Harada, Masahiro Harada, better known as the Fighting Harada, before then losing to Vicente Saldivar in what turned out to be his final fight. Right? Jeff Finnick said about him, the skills, the speed, the class, Johnny Falmaton was an artist. Okay, here we go, Perot. Lionel Rose. Number 2, Lionel Rose. Now, what in the world is all that stuff over there on my screen? Lionel Rose. There we go. That's not Lionel, though. That's Lionel Rose right there. Yeah. He one of the best, so he got a suit on. Okay, because he one of the top. Lionel Rose. I got him number 2. Number 2. Of course, Kosher was number 1. But Lionel Rose, number 2. 42 wins, 11 losses, 12 knockouts. Lionel Rose was the first Australian to win a world title. First indigenous for Australian to win a world title. I had forgot how to pronounce it. I had to think for a minute. Indigenous, yeah. Indigenous Australian to win a world title. The bantamweight picked up the WBA and WBC belts when it defeated Fighting Harada on points in 1968. That's like native Australia, right? First one really from Australia, because Zoo and all them other ones was from other places. But he was the first indigenous Australian to win a title, Lionel Rose. He picked up the bantamweight WBA and WBC belts when he defeated the Fighting Harada on points in 1968. He had begun his career at the age of 16, and after initially retiring following a failure to beat Yoshiaki Numata for the WBC Super Featherweight crown, he made a brief comeback in 1975. His return proved unsuccessful. Rose lost 4 of his next 6 fights before hanging up his gloves for good. See those 11 losses? He would have only had 7, right? But then he hung them up for good. Those late defeats spoiled his loss record slightly, but did not tarnish what he had achieved during his prime. Rose, who enjoyed a brief singing career in the 1970s, passed away in 2011. A statue has been erected in his honor in his hometown of Warragul, Australia. Lionel Rose, yeah. Tim Zoo was one, but we talked about him already. So now we're going to look at some fights. Some fights that Australians, some of the greatest fights Australians have been in. Just got 5 of them. Then we're going to look at some active Australian fighters, okay? Some active Australian fighters after we look at the fights. Talk about them. Look at some pictures. Okay? But we're getting close to another weekend. I missed all the fights last weekend. I was supposed to take a nap and then wake up and watch. Because every fight might go 12 rounds, might run late. So I was going to take a nap and see everything. But when my nap ended, everything was over. I slept through everything. The growth and desires, everything, man. Yes, I did. That strategy didn't work. I had to come up with a different strategy this weekend. Just stay up. I'm old, man, you know. I can't be up no 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, we're going to talk about 5 fights. With some Australian fighters in them. I got Teofimo and Kambosos. That's one of the great victories in Australian history. Yes, it is. When Kambosos beat Teo, remember? Teo came out there swinging for the hills, and he got dropped in that first round. Right? I don't have Devin and Kambosos because the Australian lost, so, you know. But he didn't lose to Teo. But let's get this going. This is 5 greatest Australian performances in boxing history. Okay, 5 greatest Australian performances in boxing history. It's raining and thundering. They was talking about a tornado watch up until 2 o'clock. You know the world coming to in a tornado in Baltimore. That's crazy. Of all time. Of all time. Okay, let's get into that. And then we're gonna finish off talking about some Australian fighters. Have time, I'll try that AN, whatever that was, Australian National Boxing Federation again. ANBF. But let's talk about these fights. Okay, got 5 of them. Yeah, when was Teo and Kambosos? I forgot. But anyway. Yeah, I forgot when that was. Anyway. Kambosos stunned the world to become, I think it was 3-belt unified champion in the lightweight division with his win over Teofimo Kambosos at Madison Square Garden. Was it 2023? I forgot. Few had given the 28-year-old Australian much of a chance of overcoming the previously undefeated Teofimo Lopez, making the moment he had his hand raised by the referee all the more sweeter. Kambosos' performance will go down in history as one of the great moments in Australian boxing, but where exactly does it rank on the all-time list? Here's 5 of the best right here. Okay, that's the one I was talking about. I was going to talk about. I think that's Jeff Finnick and Azuma Nelson. Jeff Finnick and Azuma Nelson. That ain't the one where they were both over damn near 50 right there. What's up, Thomas Hill? 3 years. Was that 2022, T Hill? Or was it 2023? I can't remember. It's been a while. This time is going by so fast, man. It's been a minute. I think it was 2023. I'm not sure. But let's run through these 5 fights real quick, okay? Jeff Finnick and Azuma Nelson. Now, this is 1991. This is the first one. The third one, they was both damn near 50. But this is the first one. Still in their prime. Now, this is the only one on the list where the Australian didn't win the fight. This one ended in a draw. To this day, Finnick and Nelson's Las Vegas draw in 1991 is one of the most widely criticized decisions in boxing history. Now, Finnick put on a clinic against the Ghanaian fighter and looked a class above him all night. But the judges did not agree and scored it a draw, much to the disappointment of every Australian boxing fan in the building, because they was in Australia, right? Mm-hmm. Even heavyweight champion Mike Tyson. Wait a minute, no. I think they was in Vegas. They fought in Australia in probably the second one, because Mike Tyson was the main event. So yeah, this one was in Vegas. Mike Tyson, even heavyweight champion Mike Tyson, who fought Razor Ruddock in the main event that night, declared Finnick the 3-division champion, had been robbed of a clear win. Mike said he won. Unfortunately for Finnick, his career started to decline after this fight, and he was well beaten by Nelson when the pair battled again just 8 months later in Melbourne. Now, they did have a third fight, but that was like up in the 2000s. They was both almost 50. Then we had Lionel Rose versus Masahiko fighting Geraldo. This was in 1968. Rose on the left, the fighting Geraldo on the right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that, Tio. Before that fight, you said that about Tio against Scambosos. Yeah, I was trying to think of his nickname, Scambosos. That's it. Yeah, Lionel Rose in the fighting Geraldo, 1968. Now, of course, Rose won this one. I think we mentioned that. Yeah. Then came George Kambosos and Teofimo. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this real quick. We haven't had no link time in a minute. Yeah, George and Teofimo came. There's George, right? George won that one. Then we had who did we have? Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao. I remember that one. Mm-hmm. Jeff Horn. Got that one. Oh man, why is this doing this to me? Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao. Where are you? Gee. Man. Oh, come on. Excuse me. There we go. Yeah. I hit something and they start talking to me, man. Yeah, I stopped it. Y'all hear that lady talking? What was that all about? Where were we? Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao. I couldn't find that one. I think that's Jeff Horn. Is that Jeff Horn? Yeah, that's Jeff. Okay, we only had 5. Kasia Tszyu and Zab Judah. That one. I know y'all remember that one. That was crazy. Okay, let's mention these 10 active fighters real quick. 10 of the top 10 active fighters right now in Australia. Jai Opataya, right? Tim Tszyu, these are 10 active Australians. We got Sky Nicholson. I think she's gonna be the next big thing in female boxing when the Gwoat and Katie and Amanda, all them get out the way. George Kambosos. You have to mention George. He might be B or C level, but he's a big name over there in Australia. Thanks to Teofimo. Mm-hmm. Thanks to Teofimo. We would have never heard of George Kambosos. We got the Maloney brothers. Jason and Andrew, right? Liam Perro. Liam only lost 1 fight. Yeah. Sam Goodman. He got what's his name? What's the little guy name? The 5 foot Looked like he's 4'11". Nick Ball, right? Liam got that one coming up. I mean Sam Goodman. And Justice Hooney and Pasha Zoo's other son, Nikita Zoo. I did not know. For the longest time, I didn't know he had another son in there either. But yeah, he got 2 sons in there. Okay. Let's get a little late time today going. Okay, we haven't had no late time in a minute. Let's see if we can get some today. Or I'll go back to talk a little about these active fighters. If, while we waiting. I don't know why I keep hitting all these buttons, man. What is that? What did I do then? How do I get rid of it? Help somebody. Oh my goodness. It's got all this writing on the screen. I know how to get rid of it. It's gone. Hey, I'm technologically sound. Up there with Aunt McQueen and Remo on them. Y'all know better than that. Okay, let's get the late in. Yeah, everybody thought Pac won at T Hill. Pac-Man, the one with Horn, yeah. That was bad. It wasn't bad as Pac-Man and Tim Bradley, but it was up there. Manny got robbed a couple times, man. I mean, blatant. I don't know what they had against him. Nothing is bad. Him and Tim Bradley is one of the worst of all time. I told you Tim Bradley's wife even said he lost. That's bad. Even telling your wife, you'll tell you lost. Now I made that up. Even if he did lose, the man's wife ain't gonna go against him. I don't know. Bad as he lost that fight. If she a true boxing fan, she would admit he lost. You lost, honey. They cheated for you. Which they did, man. Tim Bradley said what? When the ring announcer said his name, I saw his mouth move. He said, what? Look at it. He did. He said, who, me? I won? No way. Tim know damn well he didn't win that fight, man, against Manny. Okay, let me get the link in. See what we got coming on. I haven't seen Define on. He must be busy working this week. I haven't seen Define this. Well, earlier in the week, I think, like Monday. Yeah, I think he was in here. Yeah, because he was the one who told me about Dwight Muhammad Kwawi passed away Friday. Because I didn't know till Define. I only put in the chat Monday, rest in peace. R.I.P. Dwight Muhammad Kwawi. I was like, what? Then I did the show on him Tuesday. Yeah, I didn't know he had passed away. 72 years old, damn. That's young. Nowadays, with all the medicine and stuff they got. But you got to take advantage of it and take care of yourself and stuff, though. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he didn't. But, But he had a great, successful boxing career. 2-division champion in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Great resume. You got George Foreman on it, Holyfield, Spinks. Great resume. Braxton Kwawi. I thought he did. Yeah. Him and Holyfield, Ring Magazine called that the greatest cruiserweight fight of all time. Yeah. Oh, he has T.L.? I ain't been paying attention. He just haven't been doing too much chatting, though, I guess, sometimes, But yeah, it was the fight of the fight of the decade for the 80s, and then it was the Ring magazine called it the greatest fight of all time, greatest cruiserweight fight of all time. Holyfield and Quawi. Holyfield said that was his toughest fight ever too, and he fought Bo, Tyson, Bo 3 times, Lewis twice, Tyson twice, Foreman, Holmes. He said the White Muhammad Quawi was his toughest fight. And Holyfield said he was getting ready to quit. He gave it to Quawi at one point. It was so tough in there. Because you know how Holyfield fights, man. The way Quawi fights, he knew that was going to turn into a war, right? As soon as Holyfield get hit, the game plan is war. So him and Quawi didn't have no choice but to be a war. You know? What's up, T Hill?
What's good with you guys?
But not too much.
The Boxtorian.
What about Australia boxing today?
Yeah, good commentary indeed, man. I appreciate the lesson. I'll say this. That saying that a good big man beats a good little man every time wasn't true with Quawi. That little dude,
I know.
he can get down. He can get down. It used to amaze me that his little butt was over there whooping up on them dang big boys like that.
He was kind of like Joe Frazier. He had a way of making you brawl, turning every fight into a war. You know.
Yeah, he like that little pet, that little gnat that keep going into your face.
Yeah.
Swat him away because that nigga figure just keep on coming and keep on coming. So yeah, you right about that.
He was only 5'7". All the way up at
5'5".
I mean 5'5", right? All the way up at heavyweight. Wow.
Yeah, and knocking them out too.
Yeah, right.
Knocking them out too.
Right, winning. Yes, winning fights up there. Not just up there. He was doing his thing.
Yeah, and I mean he hung with the best of the best.
Yes,
he was in there with the best of the best. Yeah. See, now I had somebody talk about how weak the 90s heavyweights were because you had people like Chris Bird, Holyfield, and Quawi going up there and fighting that division, but that just speaks to the greatness of those individuals that they can move from cruiserweight to fight heavyweight. But it was no shortage of great fighters in that time. I mean, that was when it was thriving. I mean, it only throve probably a little bit better earlier in the years, but love me some. Not at all.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Not at all. I don't understand why people love so much to just talk bad about fighters. They do that all the time, man. It's just all the time. People get talked bad about, especially if you don't agree with something they do or say.
Just make up stuff, man.
Make up stuff, man, and it's terrible because it's not easy doing what these fighters do, and yet and still these people talk about them like they can get up there and just do the stuff.
And some people T Hill is just clearly hate, man.
Absolutely.
You don't even know this person. Why do you hate them? You know?
That's the thing for me.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing for me. These people don't know you. You don't know this person, yet and still you find it that you can just sit there and with confidence talk about how bad this person is and
call them cowards and all that kind of dumb stuff.
All kind of stuff. They getting in the ring taking punches, but they cowards.
Yeah.
That stuff is just mind-boggling to me, and it don't make no sense. But I've learned that that's just the way people are, and it's not gonna change. They gonna continue to do what floats their boat. Not one of them is getting in that ring. Not one of them is putting that work in that the other people are, and they can talk freely about them. So continue on, man. I don't no longer, like I say, man. For me, my stance is this. People are going to do what people do. So I'm going to let them do what they do. I just can't wait for when the fighter actually shows them that what they were talking about was some nonsense all along. And that moment will come.
Yeah.
that moment will come, and a lot of people in that moment they will just, instead of admitting they were wrong, like most people always do, they don't never admit when they're wrong. They just gonna find something new to say, and that's
Yep.
all I want. I just want, for when people have bad things to say about other folks, I want them to have to be forced to come with a new narrative, because the old narrative is now junk. We can get rid of it. It's
you
dismissed.
can't you can't use that no more. And they'll
And that,
come with a too. They'll find something else.
oh, you know they're gonna find something, because what I've discovered, people love to hate more so than anything. A lot of people wake up just so they can hate on somebody or something.
Crazy. That's crazy, man.
And like you said, that is crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Somebody
But
you
that's
probably
what people do.
never met, probably never will meet.
You know, and on top of that, you will never meet some of the things that they meet in life.
That's
Whether
right.
it's the obstacles that they go through, whether it's the dedication that they have to put in to get to that point. You might never meet that, but you got carte blanche to talk about it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And like I say, man, you know, we're talking about a small guy in Kwawi
Yeah.
being able to dominate at the heavyweight division.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's why I don't never say like certain fights can't happen, no matter how big people get, because I remember Dwight Muhammad Kwawi, and I
Yeah.
remember looking at him in the ring like, oh, he about to get mopped,
Mm-hmm.
and watching him mop folks up. So you know, I don't never say that. And on
Yeah.
top of that, you know, it's not my place to say somebody's not capable to do it. I've watched. You know, my favorite dog is pit bulls. We had
Yeah.
this one pit bull. This one pit bull was tearing dogs up in the neighborhood. And you know, being a young kid,
Mhm.
walking your dog, you always have other kids looking at it. Oh, my dog will beat your dog, and
Right.
especially when it's a pit bull. So you know, they would often bring their dogs out, and they would often have to carry their dogs back. And you
Yeah.
know, my
Yeah.
dog wasn't the biggest dog there was, but that boy had a lot of fight in him, and
Right.
well, when he get to start chomping on you, it was a wrap, and that's the same thing in the ring. You know, Kaz,
Yeah.
there's some fighters in the ring that just got so much fight that it's hard to match their energy and their intensity.
That was quality.
And see, that was exactly.
Because you
And
know,
for me,
Tio,
go ahead.
he was giving up so much size and reach that against certain fighters, you knew he had to get inside to have a chance. And he went in there and did it and got inside, forced him to fight his fight. And he needed to fight to win. You know?
Yeah,
That's saying something right there.
they're saying, you know, there's a little bit something more to him than just being able to brawl, man. You gotta coax people to get there. You gotta be
Yeah.
able to get them to engage in your strength, and that's not
Mhm.
easy to do. That's never easy thing to do,
Not at all.
and,
No.
and that's a skill set. So you know, like I say, I have nothing but high praise for that man. That man was a heck of a fighter,
Yeah.
a tremendous talent, and an enigma. It was amazing to see somebody that small go up in there and do that much damage on a
Yeah.
consistent basis. So you know, I have nothing but respect for him. But like I said, I have nothing but respect for love. Now I do say what I say about Cambosis only because I know the real thing that really took place. Now, Cambosis is a tough fighter,
Yeah, he's tough.
and he's a fierce competitor. That I
Yeah.
will never take from him.
No.
But he never, at no point in his career, was a great fighter. He never was. He just was a fighter that was able to take advantage of a person who was going through a very dark time in their life. And that
Yeah.
dark time had them to the point where they couldn't focus the way they needed to focus, and they didn't approach things the way they didn't because they were thinking about something else. And he took
Yeah.
advantage of that. And credit to him and his team, he rode that to the point where we talk about him. But if it wasn't for that moment, like you said, if it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't for that moment, people
Yeah.
would never know T.O. Cambosis.
Cambosos. Yeah.
And like I said, if they fought that fight 10 times out of 10, I don't see Cambosis beating. If all things were good and there's
Right.
no distractions, I don't see T.O. beating him not one of
Me.
those fights. However, that was the night and that was the fight. But I ain't gonna talk because I see my main man Ant
That
is
one
up
night.
here.
Yeah. What's up, Ant? Yeah, that was that one night, you know. Yeah. What's
Yeah,
up,
'cause
Ant?
that's all it takes to be crowned.
That one
One
night.
night.
That's right. That's all it takes.
And I'll say this: what if Teofimo and Kambosos they just match up well against one another?
Who?
Kambosos, his strengths.
Mm-hmm.
You look at his best punch that he has in his arsenal; it's an overhand right.
Right.
You look at Teofimo Lopez,
Mm-hmm.
his preferred guard is somewhat of a shell. He keeps his lead hand low.
Yeah.
And you also got to take into effect that the man is inconsistent behind his jab, doesn't necessarily have the greatest spatial awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So his deficiencies, they just line up well with some of Kambosos' strengths. It's just like that sometimes.
Yeah. It's kind of like what T was saying. He was able to go in there and take advantage of the things. And like I said, that was that one night.
Yeah, but Tio fights like that on a lot of nights. And let's also not forget that he was awarded a split decision.
Right. It was
It's not like he wiped the floor with Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah, it was a break.
Teofimo Lopez also scored a knockdown of his own in that fight and had Kambosos bloodied up. Now, if it was a fluke situation where, let's say, Kambosos just landed a good shot and he had serendipity on his side, then we could say, well, all the stars just aligned for him. It just came together all that night. No, Teofimo didn't fight a horrible fight. He didn't get blown out. He wasn't outclassed. Kambosos just nicked it.
Yeah.
Teofimo fought the way he always fights.
I don't know why they never had a rematch.
Not sure, but that's why myself, I am not one to subscribe to the notion that he fights down to the level of his competition or he's having off nights or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are just far too many instances to point to.
Right.
He had a tough out with Nakatani. He had a tough out with Jermaine Ortiz. He had a tough out with George Kambosos. He had a tough out with Sandor Martin. Yeah. Hell, when Lomachenko decided to let his hands go, he had a tough time with him. I don't think he won a single round with Lomachenko through upwards of 20 punches.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
We talk about his power and what have you. Oh, it seems like his power diminished. Well, who of note has the man stopped outside of Richard Comey?
I can't tell you.
That's what I'm saying.
I really can't.
Teofimo is obviously talented, but
his first fight at 40.
By my estimation, I think we kind of overstate him just a tad bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just a tad bit. He's a talented guy. Yeah, and I'll tell you why. We just rattled off about 5 fights where he had a tough out.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time he has a tough fight, it's not because he just had an off night or he was fighting down to the level of the competition. Because how many of these supposed elite opponents did he beat convincingly? Just hands down, just absolutely washed them.
None of them.
But when we talk amongst ourselves as fans or we listen to media pundits,
mm-hmm.
and we regurgitate the same talking points. Oh, the guy's really talented, but he just struggles when he's off mental. So what are we saying here? Every other fight he's off mentally? Every other fight he's not dialed in?
Yeah, that's pretty much what everybody had to be saying then, because like I said, every other fight he's off mentally.
We just have to look at it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
There are things in his style, there are qualities that he has
mm-hmm.
that just so happen to be exploitable. And that's with any fighter. But I feel like the really good fighters, they're able to mask things. They're able to operate in a style that can mask their deficiencies. Like T. Hill was just talking about the heavyweights a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah.
Vladimir Klitschko did not have a good chin by any measure. If you look at all of his losses, I think all but one of them were stoppages.
Right.
Like going back to like Ross Peretti and Corey Sanders. Right? Yeah. He won far more than he lost. Why? Because he developed a style that allowed him to protect his chin, almost like a fortress. He built a style that was conducive to making sure he wasn't getting hit with anything he didn't need to be getting hit with.
Didn't he have him? Wasn't he the one that had Emmanuel Stewart training him?
I can't remember if it was him or his brother. I'd have to go double check. I don't want to give you any misinformation.
Right.
But he did build a style that was able to mask the fact that he
sure did. Yep. He sure did.
So he won far more than he lost. Maxie Rosenblum in the Hall of Fame, Slappy Maxie. This dude had about 17 knockouts and over 150 fights, or however many fights. He had a ridiculous amount of fights. Yeah. But he is one of the paragon at 175, one of the top guys of all time at 175, and the man had no power. None. But he built a style that afforded him to work around that deficiency.
He kept winning. Yeah,
so with Teofimo Lopez, again, you look at his footwork, it's a little bit clunky. When he's coming forward, he's not coming forward behind a jab. He keeps his lead hand low. And if you're fighting against another orthodox fighter in a close stance matchup, your lead is lined up with what? That person's backhand.
Yeah.
Your lead is lined up with that person's right hand. Kambosos, the best punch in his arsenal is his overhand right. What did he drop Teofimo with? An overhand right. Why? Because Teofimo, once again, is out there with his lead hand down, and he's closing the distance without jabbing his way, without putting something in the highway, as Brian Norman Sr. would say, not creating any type of traffic. He's just coming forward with his lead hand down and literally walked right into a right hand, and it just happened to drop him. And once again, this is nothing new. You look at every single Teofimo Lopez fight, it's the same stuff over and over and over again. And then in those instances where he has to go locate somebody, he has a tough time doing so.
Right.
A lot of it has to do with punch selection. A lot of it has to do with positioning and the combination of two. So when he's in there with a guy who understands positioning, they're able to manipulate his lack of understanding. Jermaine Ortiz and Sandor Martin. But all in all, I agree with T. Hill's points. George Kambosos, not the best fighter out there, but he lives up to his name, ferocious. This is a guy who comes to fight every single time, regardless of the opponent, regardless of how he matches up, whether he's out of his depths or if he's got the ups. The dude is going to fight the same way. He's going to fight with a lot of vigor, a lot of passion. But in a lot of those fights, he was just outmatched.
Right.
He was outmatched. Like I felt like he was outmatched versus Maxie Hughes from a boxing standpoint.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah.
Devin Haney, clearly. Devin Haney pretty much beat the guy 24 rounds with a jab. That was it. A jab. Lomachenko broke him down to the body, stopped him. Richardson Hitchens broke him down to the body, stopped him. But one thing about George Kambosos was every time he got in the ring, he was making sure that he was going to put forth his best effort, cheat himself, and not cheat the fans. And that's all you can ask for. You know, win, lose, or draw, I think that he's cultivated a pretty nice resume for himself.
Oh, yeah. Definitely got a good resume. For sure.
Win, lose, or draw.
You know, that's absolute. That is absolute. Cannot deny the last bet in that at all.
Mm-mm. Yeah. You give yourself 100% every time, you know?
Oh, yeah. And you can't do nothing but appreciate that. Can't do nothing but appreciate that.
Who's fighting this weekend? Big name.
Oscar Duarte. We got Oscar Duarte versus Kenneth Sims. I think that should be really exciting because if you know anything about Oscar Duarte, he doesn't do anything but throw his hands. And Kenneth Sims, he's all
good. That could be good. Yeah.
He's very technical, very crafty.
That's a good matchup.
Yeah, man. I think it should be a very good matchup. And another fight that I'm actually pretty excited about, the co-main to that, is Regis Prograis versus Jojo Diaz.
Oh, yeah.
That should be really exciting. And I believe that they match up well because both guys, their attributes and the stage that they're in at this point in their careers.
Who would you pick in that one, Ed, if you had to lean toward one of them?
Ooh.
That's tough, ain't it?
It's very tough.
Jojo, wow.
Very tough. I think that Jojo is the more skilled fighter. Regis clearly has the power advantage.
Yeah. That'll be good. That's good fight. Experience. Both of them got a lot of experience. That's the co-main, huh? Yeah, I'm not gonna miss that one.
Yeah, that should be exciting. That should be exciting. There's just something about when guys are on a similar level to one another.
Yeah.
That just generally produces good fights. They may not always be the best technical matchups, but they generally provide good fights.
Yeah, that was good matchmaking there, putting them two together. Regis and Jojo.
Yes, sir. Because from a dimensional standpoint, neither guy has a huge advantage over the other one.
Neither one of them.
You know, this is not going to be a situation where you got one dude with a super long reach.
Right.
Or another guy that's got blazing fast feet and the other one can't keep up with him. So he's able to be evasive. No, these are two guys that got to be right in front of the other to get their work done.
Yep. That's going to be a good fight there.
And JoJo's been stopped for the first time maybe about 2 fights ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
He got stopped by no other than Oscar Duarte.
Yep, Oscar. It was Oscar.
Yes, sir. And Regis Prograis, you know, he's been dropped several times in his past couple fights. He got dropped versus Catterall. He got dropped versus Devin, and he got dropped in a fight prior to that with Daniel Lito Zaria. So I think that both guys are a tad bit vulnerable. Both guys have had their struggles in recent years.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think we should get a really good scrap. I don't think that one dude should just completely dominate the other.
Yeah, that's a good matchup there. Putting them two together at this point. Yeah.
We just ain't gonna have to go look for Jojo Diaz. I don't believe that to be the case.
Nah.
Whereas, you know, facing Devin Haney or even Daniel Lito Zaria, guys who are of taller stature, faster feet, longer reach, so they were able to keep him at bay. That ain't gonna be the case here. So that should be a really exciting fight. I'm trying to see. I got to see who else is gonna be on the rest of that card because I was looking at the press conference today.
Yeah, I got to go back and look at that. I was trying to bring it up too. Yeah. So I've been working right here. Let's see. Yeah. So,
Trying to see.
So everything is tomorrow, right? Nothing tonight.
Tomorrow, I believe we get something tomorrow. But here's the thing about boxing: we always got something going on.
Somewhere,
yeah,
right?
Even if it's a domestic Mexican card.
Yeah, you just gotta find it. That's all.
Like on Box Azteca or something like that.
Yeah.
Then there's the other one, Noche de Box. They have fights on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody of note fighting. It's nondescript guys.
Yeah.
The very definition of club fighter.
Yeah.
Fighting in high school gymnasiums and things of that sort.
Sometimes you see some good fights on there, though.
Yeah, sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. Mm-hmm. That is true. But most of the time, from a boxing standpoint, from a tactical standpoint, those fights,
right,
they leave a little bit to be desired.
You really got to love it.
Yeah,
you got to really be a hardcore fan.
But those guys fight, though. That's one thing I will say about them. That they fight hard. They fight.
They're gonna be in there competing.
Not the most skilled. We do have something going on tomorrow.
Okay.
It's in Venezuela.
Mm.
It's going to be on ESPN Deportes.
Okay.
Panya Pradabrisi versus Carlos Canizales. That should be a title fight.
Yeah, I was just talking about that. I was thinking about these two guys at, I think it's 108. Man, let me see. That would be a good fight.
It's for the WBC World Light Flyweight.
Yeah.
Light Flyweight.
Yeah, that's the division I was thinking about. It's a potential good fight down there. If they would ever make it. I think they're like 1 and 2 in the division. It might be 105. I was just talking about that. Melvin Jerusalem and Collazo, I think. Oscar Collazo.
Oh yeah, that's that guy that the Fine Irony has in his avatar.
Yeah.
The picture of him with the Puerto Rican flag behind him. He's got the straw hat on. That dude is no joke. That guy can fight. Mm-mm. His last fight, he had a beautiful, beautiful check hook versus that dude Edwin Cano.
Yeah. I think
he with a check hook so damn clean.
And he 105. A lot of people won't watch those. I've been trying to tell people, man, you gotta check these guys out. Hit them weights. You don't know what you're missing. I think that Melvin Jerusalem and Collazo is potentially one of the biggest fights in boxing if they make that one. Yeah, Collazo and Jerusalem. They at where are they at? Strawweight, 105. That is one of the biggest fights in the whole sport right there. I think they 1 and 2 in the division. Both champions. Yeah, Collazo was the one on Define Arnie's avatar, right? With the hat, yeah.
Yeah.
And Melvin Jerusalem ain't no joke either. He's a Filipino fighter. Mm-mm.
Yeah, they generally aren't. Them guys from the Philippines. Mm-mm. They get down and dirty.
Yeah.
Them guys get down.
Yeah, he's
that dude Panya, he's from Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand.
He's 44 and 2.
Damn.
So him and Canizales, they fought each other back in December of 2024 for the vacant WBC World Championship at Light Fly. And it was a close fight. It was a majority decision, so they're running it back.
Oh, when is that? That's coming up?
Friday, tomorrow.
Oh my goodness, that's tomorrow? Oh
yeah,
man,
it's going to be on ESPN Deportes. Probably going to have to find it online.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be good. A lot of people call it sleeping on that one.
Yo, Miles, go sit down. No, not here. Go sit down. Go ahead, dude.
Probably be a close fight, just like the last one. You said had a majority decision at the end of last year, right?
Yep.
Probably be the same kind of fight.
Speaking of the smaller weight classes, that Kenshiro Taraji and
yeah.
Ricardo Sandoval fight, that was a good fight the other morning. It was yesterday, actually. Yesterday morning out there in Japan.
I know. I be missing them because you
That was
only
at
think about
flyweight.
them early morning fights when it's the monster a lot of times, but them other guys be in there early like that too. And Kenshiro Taraji.
It wasn't one of those. It wasn't one of those 4 a.m. specials. Them guys fought around like probably 8:30, 9 o'clock our time.
Who was he fighting?
Ricardo Sandoval.
Okay, yeah, that was a good one.
The whole fight is on YouTube. It's on the Matchroom Boxing YouTube page.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Check out the whole card on there. It was a pretty good fight.
Yeah, Taraji is the man down there. He's
Yeah, it was a shame. It was a shame because he started out strong, did some good work.
Mm-hmm.
He landed a beautiful right hand.
Yeah.
Sat Sandoval down. To Sandoval's credit, he did a phenomenal job of adjusting and countering his hook. Countering his jab. And then once he started countering his jab, that was it.
Yeah. Damn.
Why is this on court?
I'm waiting on Palazzo and Melbourne, Jerusalem, though.
Put that away.
I think they were talking about a unification, so 105. Yeah, Palazzo is the southpaw. Okay, we gotta get ready to get on out of here, man. I appreciate you. I don't know what happened to T Hill. Oh, T Hill dropped off.
No, I ain't dropped off. I just been eating.
Oh, it dropped. I was
Yeah, that was Ann who dropped off. Yeah. You said it was time to go, so Ann ain't gonna waste no time. He get up out of there.
You got anything else to before we get out?
Oh man, just shout out to the usual suspects. We got Just Do Boxing. He came through and shouted us out, man. Shout out to Cash Sports himself. Doing a fine job. Puro Sword. Had my man Ace Boogie come through. Crushed the Mickey Freaky Legend, aka the Master of Ceremonies. Mike Rim. The Fisherman. Mike Mazik, the champ. Jarrell Hadi, the nephew. Kenso Love. I think that's part of the household with Jarrell Hadi. Drunk Irishman. Mrs. Cass, and of course the ubiquitous and loquacious one, Aunt McQueen. Thank you for stopping through. Hopefully that you guys enjoyed the show, recognizing that you get nothing but pure boxing. No matter what capacity of boxing, you get to hear about boxing. So with that being the case, hit the like button, hit the Cash App, hit the subscription button, and if you want to communicate, go on and drop a chat or two. If you want to get on a panel, click the link. Nothing but conversation, good boxing talk. Go here, man. We discuss boxing. We don't debate it. We don't conflate it. We don't do any of those such things that would make you a turn off. So go ahead, enjoy the rest of your days, and have a wonderful day. See you over at Just Do Boxing, where you always get boxing is Just Do. And we out.
Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, champ?
I'm surprised. I'm really insulted. That's